Hi there, and welcome to another episode of Excuse the Beard, where I pontificate on things sitting in my car. It feels so good to not wear a mask in the car, I tell you, man. I mean, Delhi had this really weird rule for the longest time, where even if you were alone in a car, you had to be masked up. I do carry an N95 and a triple layer cloth mask with me all the time, though, because when you still get out of the car, you've got to be masked up when you go to public places, at least. But inside a car, all you got to do is wear your seatbelt, not a mask, for safety. So today, I'm going to talk about the Russian invasion of Ukraine. And India's had to vote, had to abstain at the United Nations, even though India is a country that always talks about territorial integrity and but it doesn't like interfering in the internal affairs of other countries, just like it doesn't like other countries in interfering in India's internal affairs. Hint, hint, United Kingdom. But India was forced to vote a certain way. Now, obviously, everybody's mentioned India's massive arms imports from Russia. India imports everything from small arms, such as, assault rifles, all the way up to very advanced battlefield systems, such as the new S-400 Triumph air defense system, the Sukhoi 30 MKIs, you have your MiG-29Ks, you have Kilo-class submarines, you have the Kolkata-class ships. You have a lot of stuff coming in from Russia. Russia also gives us stuff that many Western countries won't give us. The United States. To be fair, other than France and to an extent Israel, most Western countries will not share high-tech stuff with us. And one of India's worries right now is that with the Russian, advance into Ukraine bogged down, there could be a shortage of parts for many critical Indian battle components, such as the T-90 tanks. I don't think Russia has unleashed its full might so far. That's not a good thing necessarily, but I think Russia is holding its best divisions and the Red Air Force as well in reserve, because they have, I guess, war gamed the possibility that NATO will eventually or could eventually interfere in the battle, like Ukraine is pleading NATO to do. A no-fly zone will be in effect a declaration of war by NATO, which is why NATO and the United States will not declare a no-fly zone. And Ukraine knows that. And anyway, I don't want to talk about the war. I want to talk about the impacts it will have on you and me. Of course, one critical impact it will have on you and me is the price of petrol, diesel, piped gas, CNG, everything. Russia is the world's second largest, has the world's second largest reserves of crude petroleum, proven reserves, and the world's largest reserves of natural gas, which is why even the Germans today have come out openly and said that they don't want Russia sanctioned for oil and gas. And in the last few days, with global oil prices getting super hot, touching $130 per barrel of crude petroleum, Russia is actually going to benefit a lot. I mean, the challenge is how the hell would you make payments for energy? I mean, they're trying to make exceptions for energy payments. India's problem is going to be making payments for weaponry to Russia. But it's not just arms, ammunition, and energy that we will suffer from. One direct impact on India, I mean, not for Air India necessarily or Vistara, is the fact that airfares to India will become more expensive simply because Russian airspace is closed off to many airlines. And this has created quite a trouble even for flights to the United Kingdom or Germany, for example, many of which take the northern route to shorten times, get favorable winds. It's definitely made flights to North America from India unviable if you don't use Russian airspace, which is why United Airlines has cancelled its San Francisco Delhi flight. And there are other impacts as well. India imports almost 90% of its sunflower oil from Russia and Ukraine, mainly from Ukraine actually. Ukraine is the world's largest supplier of sunflower oil. India can benefit in one way, which is that India is the world's second largest grower of wheat, where thanks to uh, MSP, which is trying to remove in the farm laws, Indian wheat was hitherto unviable in the global market simply because wheat prices were so low. But spot prices of wheat have doubled in the past week, and that makes Indian wheat a bit more sustainable, economically sustainable to be imported, much more economically, in fact, profitable to be exported from India. And as was pointed out on Twitter earlier today morning, one reason for the Arab Spring a few years ago was the rising prices of bread. I'm genuinely surprised the government did not increase prices of petrol and diesel yesterday. I thought the minute the last vote would be cast or the exit polls came out and showed that the BJP was winning UP, they would increase the prices of petrol and diesel by 5, 10, 15 rupees. I'm not saying a correction will not happen. They've just quoted the petroleum minister Hardeep Puri as saying that there is a war happening in one part of the world and prices will obviously go up. Taxes, petrol and diesel, like everything, most other things in life, are what you call ad valorem taxes. That is added to the value of a product, in the sense that if prices are 8 rupees and you have a 25% tax, you pay 2 rupees extra. If the price is 10 rupees, you pay 2 rupees 50 paise. So as the value goes up, the amount you pay in tax also goes up. So it's not a fixed 2 rupee cess, for example. So if the oil companies tomorrow increase prices of petrol by 10 rupees, and because you pay close to a 50% tax on petrol, whether it's the state or government or central government or in cess, the cess is actually fixed, but your price might go up 15 rupees, not just a 10 rupee increase in. India is also a major importer of potash. Potash or whatever you want to call it. Now, if you watch Formula One, you should see the Haas team, and now they won't be with Nikita Mazepin this year, but Nikita Mazepin's father owned a company called Uralkali, which is the world's largest supplier of potash. And Uralkali is a nice portmanteau of the Ural Mountains and alkali. Potash is required for the base effect on our soil. Otherwise, soil can become too acidic. And Russia is the world's largest exporter of potash. And it's not just potash, it's not just oil and gas, it's several other metals and minerals as well. I mean, the Siberian tundra is huge and full of mineral wealth and timber wealth and natural wealth underneath it. And I'm sure that will also include lithium. Russia hasn't really prospected for lithium, but Russia is a critical supplier of very important metals such as copper. Global copper prices have gone up $2 a pound, and copper is a vital component in electric cars, for example, and consumer durables. In electric cars, you actually need a lot. You need thick wires of copper because when you're carrying high direct current voltages, that's what you need. And it's a major supplier of rare earth minerals, where you're already having China dominate that supply chain, and America is talking about it. Russia is the world's second largest resources of many rare earths. Russia has several other important key minerals, nickel, and so many others all across the Siberian tundra. And that will impact rising commodity prices, aren't just going to impact the prices of cars, both petrol ICE engine cars, as we call ICE cars, which are internal combustion engine cars, as well as future electric vehicles. but everything. I know there's been this grotesque voyeurism on Indian television with regards to the war, but war isn't good at any time. I mean, while many people are saying that the Ukrainians are doing a good job, and they are, I'm sure they've held up the Russians, but they're also not. I won't go as far as to say that they're keeping some foreign students, including Indians, as hostages, but they're not letting them escape. War isn't good, and all of us, you know, you might like those pictures of fighter jets on television, but there is a price that we'll have to pay. My thoughts, and the price that Indians will have to pay for this war will be for more expensive petrol, more expensive diesel, more expensive food, maybe eventually, because everything prices will go up. There will be an inflationary impact of this war.